Yep, yep, yep.
Something sounded.
Mic is off.
We know.
I can hear an echo. I can hear my on the headphones.
That was it.
That's gonna be distracting.
This was plugged into the wrong.
So we just turn it down.
Yeah, just turned it down a bit.
What? Why?
Turn it down. Turn it down.
Wow.
All right, we'll turn it up if we need to listen to a video. Hi, welcome back. Hopefully you have never left and you didn't see our technical difficulties. Guys, welcome to our very, very special daytime episode of NightMayr. It's NightMayr. We'll call it NightMayr. Today's guest, you know her. You love her. She's a friend. She's a friend of the show, a friend of my life. She's iconic, legendary. It's Lauren Chen. She's here.
Thank you for having me, Chrissie. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad you could squeeze us in. How was the Evie magazine gala last night?
It was good. So So I have never been to a gala. I don't even know. So the founder, Brittany, she's amazing, glamorous. She's a model, including a hand model. And
Hand model?
yeah, she does have beautiful hands. I mean, she has beautiful
Get into
everything.
that.
I don't know, but she's like done hand modeling for all these watch companies and like different. I think she like hand modeled for Linda Evangelista at one point.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's like her a different model's face, but it's Brittany's hands. So she's amazing. And so her and her husband founded Evie Magazine. And so she invited me and I was like immediately yes. And it was very New York and like fancy people, like small amounts of food on a plate.
Oh,
and it was
like
a lot of fun.
tapas. I kind of hate those events for that reason. Like if you're hungry, like you're not going to get full there.
I pre-gamed before.
Yeah.
I got some actual food, but it was like the food there was good. So it was a lot of fun. And I loved it because it was like 80% women.
Oh, good.
It's like Evie Magazine, which is like a women's magazine. I've written for them. But it was like really cool to see, I guess, actual in-person readers and I like what they're doing, trying to make almost, it's not outright political, but almost a conservative version of Cosmo or Vogue. That was really cool. So
where was it?
It was in the meatpacking district somewhere. I'm not a New York person, so it was a really nice venue. I wish I could have taken pictures, but they put a sticker on the back of the camera.
No way.
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
I guess I kind of understand it because they had actual photographers there who were doing professional photos, but I met Brett Cooper again. I mean, I met her before, but I should have grabbed a picture with her, but I was like, they stickered my phone and I wanted to break the rules, but I no, Brittany. So I was like, I didn't want it to be awkward. Like, thank you for inviting me to your party. I'm ignoring your rules. I'm just going rock and roll, doing my own thing, but it was a lot of fun.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they don't want people posting unflattering photos or, maybe it's like to help with privacy.
Yeah.
Like if,
I wanted to be respectful of the rules, so I didn't take any candid photos, but it was beautiful and it was a lot of fun.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, now people. Brett was in town partially for this Evie Magazine event, not clavicular. Not the clavicular.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Well, I'm like, I don't understand why. I guess he sort of just crawled to the top of all our algorithms just because, like, maybe it's just a slow news time. But I'm like, why is he somebody we're all supposed to care about? Like, he's just.
I only heard of him like 2 weeks ago. And I don't mean to diss him. I'm sure he's more popular than I will ever be.
I'm sure he's a lovely man.
Yeah, I just, I'm not his demographic of audience. Like I'm a mom. I'm assuming that his main audience is not moms. So.
I think his main audience is I think he's part of this group of men that want to just like convince men to never get married or like never try. I find like all the red pill guys to be like ultimately like you're not helping anybody. Like you're just here to complain. Night Owl, thank you for the 2. In my heart, you will always be roaming millennial.
Oh, thank you. Back from the good old days. I know, like I was being interviewed by someone. It was for identity politics, and he was super nice, but he made me feel super old. He was like, you've been doing this for a long, long time. One of the first, like, back in the day, since you have so much experience. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm old at this point. Stop that.
Imago or Imago Lewis, thank you for the 5. Too much echo. Repeal the 19th. Wow. Well, come on. Well, me and Lauren can still vote, right?
I can't vote here.
Oh shoot, that's right.
Yeah, but I can have opinions on the internet, which is nice. Yeah.
How do you feel? So did you grow up in Hong Kong or Canada?
Hong Kong. Well, kind of both, but mostly Hong Kong. And it was the British Hanover was in 1997. So I was young when it happened, but it was still way more British when I was a kid than it is now. So
how do you feel like between Hong Kong, Canada, and now Nashville, how have all these different places kind of shaped your conservative views?
So my parents are pretty apolitical people. I mean, they're socially conservative, I guess, but we never grew up talking about politics in the house. But I was always like, I guess my parents weren't loosey-goosey with stuff, so I lent to being socially conservative better. And then Canadian politics are kind of they're not as front and center as it is in America. Like everyone talks about politics in America almost, but in Canada, it's really not like that. And so
everyone's being so nice. I guess.
yeah, nice and kind of apathetic. And so honestly, Nashville is one of the only places I've ever lived where I kind of feel represented politically, which is really nice. But, you know, we were in Hong Kong this summer because my American visa had expired. So we spent the summer in Asia, and I hadn't been back since like COVID at that point. And my kids had never been there. My husband had never been there. And it was really nice being able to introduce that part of my life and heritage to them. But it also made me, like, I love America so much, but if there is one thing I'm not crazy about is the crime rates in certain parts of America. Obviously, like most of America is safe, thank goodness. But when you like talk about cities in America, like New York and places in Nashville, it was like, it was kind of weird at that point to be like, see, like we're on public transit, no one's getting stabbed. Like, you know, hey, here's a train, no one's being set on fire.
How did you feel in New York City? Because I haven't even been in New York City, I think in like a year. It's right there. So
it's like, I mean, everywhere smells like weed. And, you know, my husband, he's like, okay, well, Uber everywhere. I don't care how close it is, just because the last time, it was either the last time or the time before last, we were in New York together. I've told this story before, but I was just like walking and my husband was kind of behind me because he was like dilly-dallying. I was like walking up ahead and there were a bunch of guys who were kind of loitering on the front stoop of somewhere. And one of them, this big black guy, he starts following me and he yells out, "Hey, Asian lady." And like,
you're like, how did you know my name?
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I can only assume he had pure intentions, of course.
Of course, he wanted to ask you about your conservative beliefs.
Exactly.
And
where's
your
the
social
best
media
dim sum place? But I mean,
I want to ask you about Tenet Media.
my husband kind of like intercepted and, you know, nothing happened. But it's like, you know, also the previous time we were like in Times Square, where that's where our hotel was. I was in town for Fox. And then like as we were leaving, there was a shooting there type of thing. So we've had kind of, nothing bad has ever happened directly in New York, but there have been enough things where it's like, I could imagine that could have also gone a different way where, you know, I'm just kind of more on guard here.
Somebody following you. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough of a thing to happen.
Yeah.
I've had people like friends and like viewers send me over the years like different like pocket knives, different like things that like electrocute, like little like buzzers and things that I like I've never had to use, thank God. But I'm just like, oh yep, this is gonna go in the living in New York box for sure.
And it's, I mean, in Hong Kong, like you go in like anywhere and there are signs like, you know, pickpocketers, this many years in prison, theft, this many years in prison. Like they are not messing around. And there is a difference in like the safety that you feel. Like Hong Kong is some of the best public transit, if not the best public transit in the world. Super new, super safe. I go, you know, I was riding buses and the metro with my kids by myself. And it's, you know, you could have that in places like New York and Nashville, but it would require upsetting progressive women. So I guess we just have to live with crime. You know,
we can't upset the progressive women.
We can't.
Oh my gosh. Do you feel, because you had an interesting journey. Like you kind of started out, you were raised Catholic. And then you had kind of like an atheist period, and now
I was very edgy. Yeah, the edgiest of the atheists.
We all were. We all had an atheist phase. And now you settled kind of more on like Protestant. Like, how do you feel like that sort of spiritual journey, you know, has like gone for you? What kind of inspired all that?
Well, yeah, like you said, I was raised Catholic, but not a very kind of like Christmas, Easter Catholic-y and like culturally Catholic. And like we do all the things, but we're not, you know, we're not attending mass every single weekend. I'm not, you know, doing the rosary in my own time. And then I went through an atheist phase kind of like in high schoolish, like early high school. And then through, I guess, an interest in philosophy, I started becoming more agnostic and then kind of like a theist. And then I started reading the Bible, and that kind of led me to Protestantism, but not like any church, just kind of like the Bible. You know, we go to a Baptist church now, but like I'm kind of, I don't like to be all stuck in the weeds when it comes to denomination anymore. And like being in Asia, that was also something, you know, we found like an English speaking church And, we were asking them, like, they're Protestant, but we were kind of asking, like, so, like, do you guys like Baptist, blah, blah, blah. But basically the pastor told us, like, so there aren't that many Christians here. So we don't really get too attached to the labels. He was like, like my background in seminary is Southern Baptist, but we have people here who come and they're Presbyterian. And and that kind of put it into perspective, because I feel like on X, if you're part of Christian X, there will be like brother wars nonstop, like the Catholics and the Ortho Bros and then the Southern Baptist, and we're all at each other's throats.
And it's like, why?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why? We agree on like 98% of things. And it's not like we can't have those disagreements, but at the end of the day, like, we should be focusing on the thing that's most important, which is like, trying to talk about Christ, spread the word, like defend our Christian brothers and sisters who are being persecuted. Like, if we're all just kind of in our ivory towers, like this, like it was, being in Asia put it into perspective, where there are so few Christians that, it's just nice to have a Christian community, period, without getting too bogged down in labels and like minor schisms.
What are they, mostly Buddhist over there?
Yeah, or just like secular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They're just like, we enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, essentially, like we like Santa. Buddhists, no religion, or like, they're kind of like spiritualism. Yeah. But definitely not major Christian.
Matt, see if you can pull up that tweet of the Nigerian Christians. Scroll up a little bit to see this. This was a tweet of yours, Lauren, that did pretty well. Nigerian Christians are being martyred, their church is burned, and they still gather to profess the name of Christ. Christians are the most persecuted religion on the planet, but the news will rarely report on this. And I was looking into this just for like opposing opinions, and a lot of progressives think like, American Christians have no problems, they're not being persecuted, it's overblown. Like, what would you say to people that kind of dismiss, like, clearly what's going on in Nigeria right now is horrible. Like, Christians are literally being rounded up and murdered. But like, what would you say to folks who say, oh, it's a non-issue for Americans?
Well, I think it's obviously, I'm not going to say that it's the same to be a Christian in America as Nigeria. Thank goodness. But, if we are to have like a universal church, I do think the suffering of Christians abroad should affect us. Like, Christians do a lot of charity for non-Christians abroad. I do think that we should focus a little bit more on our own. Not that we should only do charity for other Christians, but I think if you have brothers and sisters in the faith specifically who are being persecuted for their faith, we should probably have more of an interest in that than we currently do. There's no shortage of suffering of all types of different people, but I don't think it's wrong for Christians to say, let's focus on Christians for a little bit. And I think it is good to put it into perspective. Like, there are Christians here who we're very lukewarm, or we can be. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's why gays can get married now.
Exactly. But, here we have, and that's kind of the point of the tweet. Like, these people are willing to die for their faith. They are dying for their faith actively, and we're afraid to say Merry Christmas. Like, that should put it into perspective for us. And with that being said, like, you do hear there are, students in school who are being penalized by the system, by their professors, for trying to talk about God in their assignments in a way that, a Jewish student or a Muslim student might not be. So it's one thing to say, religion doesn't have a place here, but it seems like oftentimes it's Christianity specifically that is targeted, not other faiths. So I think Christians need to do a better job of being advocates for ourselves. And I think the fact that there's this idea that Christianity just means being nice.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Like, it's an overall, like, well, are we just sort of too nice to stand up for ourselves? Is it anti-Christian to like be somebody who pushes back? And
which, like, if you read about the Bible, especially in the gospel, you see Jesus, like, he's flipping over tables. He's calling people names that aren't very nice. It's a different type of Jesus than I think the media likes to, like, no, you're supposed to be like Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, who's just like nice and it doesn't cause any trouble, which isn't really what Jesus's message was. So I think people who Americans who don't think that American Christians are persecuted at all. Like, I don't think they've been paying attention in the news. I mean, Biden's DOJ has gone after Christians for doing things like pro-life activism. People have been thrown in jail.
Just for praying outside of a Planned Parenthood or something like that.
So yeah, no, there is an attack on Christians, and it's been cool to see the new leadership in the DOJ, especially like Harmeet Dillon's group, kind of try to even things out, because I do believe in religious protections for everybody, but again, it feels like for the longest time the Christians haven't been part of the everybody. No,
it's almost like in a sense, like you compare it to like white people are not part of any kind of protected class or Christians, and I don't know, I think we should just treat everybody equally.
What a novel concept. Yeah.
Who would have thought? What a concept. How do you think, Lauren, that becoming a mom, and I guess in the last even a mom for like 4 years now, and you have 2, how has becoming a mom changed how your approach towards feminist issues, culture? Has it changed everything?
I think it would be really hard to be a mom and not have your opinions change about stuff like this. I mean, and people who follow me on X probably know, like, since becoming a mom, like, my tolerance for crime, there's no tolerance for crime. I mean, growing up in Asia, it was already very low, but especially now with 2 young kids, it's like, I used to be against the death penalty for like libertarian reasons, not wanting the state to exercise that level of control over someone else's life. And I still understand and to an extent sympathize with that viewpoint, especially like I've been wronged by the state plenty. But then the other part of me is like, we need to do more to prevent crime. And that's like, I'm at the point now where anytime I see a story of like some horrible thing happening to some family, it'll keep me up at night. It like really disturbs me. And so like, I think I've gone into mama bear mode where I think safety is the most important thing we can do to for our children. And I think every family deserves safety. I think like if we're going to talk about human rights, like it is a human right to be safe. And it doesn't matter what race you are or how poor or rich you are. Everyone deserves to be safe. I think that's one of the few legitimate places that government has to interfere in our lives, is like to reduce crime. And so I see places like, again, it comes back to crime in the cities in America where people live in fear of being shot or mugged. And it doesn't have to be like that. It shouldn't be like that. And I see these stories where these criminals have been let out again and again. And it seems like there's all this empathy for the criminals who are actually committing the crimes, but no empathy for the families who have to live in those conditions. And I've been called racist for talking about the crime issue. But if you look at the people who are actually affected disproportionately, it's families of color. Like it's Black kids who are way more likely to be the target of this. And I don't think being Black means that you just it's okay for you to be a victim of crime. Like, I think that's terrible. Black kids deserve to be safe. Like, why don't we do more to protect them? So I could go on and on. Like, as you can tell, it really upsets me.
It's sad. Yeah.
Just because, especially like we don't have that problem in big Asian cities. And, this doesn't need to be part of what a city is like. So yeah, it's changed my opinion on things like I'm much less tolerant of crime. I mean, when I hear about people going after kids in general, it's like, why don't we just like execute them? Like, why don't we just, I mean,
why can't we just get the wood chipper out? And it's good that you have the experience of, what it's like in Hong Kong. And so that helps keep you fired up about it, because a lot of people don't have that experience of like living in another country. In some places have learned to accept it. Like, this is just how it is, but it can't be racist, so we have to let crime go nuts. Yeah. And in hindsight, looking back, when you look at BLM and the defund the police movement, you're like, oh wow, like the powers that be did this because I think they ultimately wanted more crime and chaos, and they wanted to justify things kind of falling apart under the umbrella of not being racist. Yeah. Which is, I mean, so stupid, because it's 2026 now. We should all be past the idea that you can't call me a racist. Oh no, I suppose murderers can just walk free. Like, we're all past that. Nobody cares.
And, thankfully, I think for most places in the U.S., crime is starting to go down. Like, there have been a lot of deportations of dangerous criminals. And I think people in cities are starting to get tired of it, too. But yeah, that's a big issue for me. And it's also born out of the fact that it doesn't need to be like this. Other places don't have this problem. It's very possible to have safe public transit, to be able to walk alone at night. And, I've seen these like progressive white women who have gone to places in East Asia and they're like, it's so great. I don't need to worry about like walking alone at 3 a.m. And it's like, yeah, because there are policies here that you would fight tooth and nail to have in the United States because you would think that it was racist or whatever.
Wow. That's a really good point. Yeah. It's like and let's show you, Karen, everything that went into this being safe.
Yeah.
And it's like at this point, like everybody knows the crime statistics. Like, is it a big deal that maybe one race is a smidge more responsible? Like, all right, let's all get over it. Like, if I were black, I'd be like, yeah, but it's not me. I don't know. Let's still do something about it.
Yeah, it's like I would rather black bystanders be safe than be sad about black criminals having to go to jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because again, like we see who's affected by crime, it's disproportionately black people because it's like, in poorer neighborhoods, there's more crime. I think poor people deserve to be safe too. I don't think just because you're poor, it's okay that your neighborhood is dangerous. I think that's awful.
Yeah. Isn't part of being safe a way that you eventually like, okay, now you're maybe less inclined to get into like a life of crime or join a gang. And then maybe you
have your business vandalized or robbed or whatever.
And then maybe if you're a kid, if you're safe, you can focus more on school so you can do well, so you can get out of the hood and like do well in life. So that too, it's like, oh, the crime persisting is part of what keeps this vicious cycle going, and ultimately like keeps Democrat, that's what they want is more Democrat voters. They don't want Democrat voters like doing well for themselves and maybe like turning Republican, and so they'll keep the crime going, and they'll import the entire third world to keep the voting class going. Matthew Hammond for 5 has Lauren talked with Michelle Malkin since she came back to X. She was a trailblazer for conservative women in media and did not censor herself.
So I've been following Michelle Malkin since I was in college. I'm a huge fan of hers. I've never collaborated with her, but I think she like semi-retired. And so I had kind of like written that off, but I don't know if she's still doing stuff. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I would be down to do something with her, speak with her, because I think she's like just very fearless. And she's someone who's been canceled by not only the left, but also the right, because she was kind of going really hard on immigration before it became acceptable in conning circles to do so. Because I mean, I don't think it can be overstated how the Overton window has shifted. Like we have like Hillary Clinton now even saying mass migration was a mistake. Whereas, like 6 years ago, even the Republican Party wouldn't say that. So, I mean, I think she was basically vindicated.
Yeah. It just seems like who was that a good idea for? And then you're like, oh yeah, more Democrat voters.
Yeah.
Push-ups, thank you for the 5. Did you ever wonder who Edward Gregorian really was? Did you just not ask?
Well, so that relates to the whole, Tenet indictment. And so basically regarding that, the indictment, if the DOJ wants to make allegations and prove them in court, they can, but they have not taken me to court. So, I feel pretty vindicated in that regard.
I guess we could, there's another K-Max. Thank you for the $9.99. We will get a little more into the Tenet stuff. New York City had the right idea on crime under Giuliani. You saw Al Sharpton and his ilk protest repeatedly. The city seemed to prefer what they have now over being called racist by Sharpton. Yeah, the city was safer years ago. Like when I first moved into the city in like 2011, 2010. It's gotten a little squirrelier since the pandemic. And K-Max, again, thank you for the 5. Did you both meet in person at a TPUSA event in Arizona? If so, your impression of the event? I felt like so many streamers were at that one. I think that is the first time I met you. I think I saw you in the lobby and I was like, oh my God, that's Lauren. She's so beautiful. And there's her kid. And oh my God, like that's...
Yeah, that was 2023?
23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And it had to have been November or December. Yeah, it was December.
Yeah,
And I
AmFest
was
is
like,
always like weirdly close to Christmas
yeah, why
for
is
an
that?
event that's not Christmas themed.
It is too. And that I think they probably get that convention center at a discount. I would
Probably,
assume
yeah,
that's
because
the
it's
only-
a weird time.
because it's not an easy time to travel because usually like you've spent so much money on gifts already, or like who wants to throw a flight and a hotel into the mix there. But yeah, I that was the first TPUSA event I had ever been to. I really enjoyed it. They sort of had me, probably similar to you, like had me come out, I guess, as like an influencer. Like they covered my hotel and like I think part of my flight, and then I ended up buying a booth on Media Row because I was like I don't want to just be there and like doing nothing, like walking around. I'm like I might as well just like set up a camera and do interviews or do streams.
Get content when everyone's there. Yeah.
And then have a place to charge your phone, like have a place to sit, have a home base. And I liked it a lot. And like I didn't see every single person who spoke, but it was cool. Like I didn't like meet Roseanne, but I kind of like saw her, waved at her. I was like, I love you. It was cool. It was cool for like people watching and networking for sure. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, so the first event I did with TPUSA was a young woman's event in 2022. And then after that, they invited me to be a contributor. So I was actually part of being a TPUSA contributor. I had to go to all of those events for work as part of the TPUSA team. And I always thought it was cool to see everybody, especially at AmFest, the big one at the end of the year. It's really cool to see all of the like different influencers there. Apparently, and we were kind of talking about this, like apparently people go crazy at those events. I was never invited to any of the crazy
Oh,
parties.
like with off hours, extracurricular, maybe untoward behavior. And I didn't get invited to any of those either. In fact, I was there complaining. I'm like, there's no nightlife here. There's no nighttime activities. I was like, I forget who I was talking to, but I'm like, they need to do comedy shows every night. Like we need to have activities at nighttime. It's like, oh, there were activities. They were
just didn't get invited.
Yeah. They were just very, very VIPs to which I was not part of, but that's fine. I would rather just go to my hotel and fall asleep.
Yeah, and the last TPUSA event, AmFest, I went to, I ended up being super, super sick. So I was like there, I did something, and then I was just like sick there the rest of the time.
Oh, no.
And like I remember Tucker Carlson was there, and Tim Pool was there, and he asked like, "Hey, are you around?" I was like, "Yeah, but I'm sick. What's up?" But apparently he was going to ask if I wanted to be on stage with Tucker Carlson, and it's like, Tim, you have to say that. I would have taken a Tylenol. I would have taken a Tylenol. But that was the last one I went to, I think.
Oh, wow. Now we know if Tim Pool says, are you available?
You asked for what? You asked for what?
I just say yes, and then I'll figure it out later. That's so neat. Have you gone to like any other kind of events? I'm like, I can't think of any outside of TPUSA in terms of like a big.
Well, I used to do the MythCon events. Sean Frasick, the Mythicist Milwaukee guys, they used to do
the
events like that. Yeah. So those guys throw really good events. So I went to a couple of those, but I'm not a huge events type of person aside from the TV. It's hard when you have kids.
That's really, I feel so grateful that I didn't like get into this whole world in my 20s. Like I spent all those years. I spent like 10 years like doing stand up, doing the open mic scene, slogging it out, like getting home late every night. I'm so glad that happened at that age instead of me being that age trying to do, I really hate the word influencer, but being like a content creator and somebody who's out and about. Cause I see the people that fall prey to all these temptations and their vices. And it's all so public and the internet is pretty unforgiving and they don't forget. And, and we've all seen like there's something that the people love about a little bit of blood in the water and they love to make an example out of somebody. And I think it makes me sad because somebody who is in the process of like converting, I was raised Methodist, but I'm converting to Catholicism now. It's like this year-long process that I'll get there on, I guess, before Easter. I think people like to like make an example and tear people down who who say that they are living like a Christian lifestyle or a trad lifestyle, because I don't know, this might sound corny, but it's like, I think it's a little bit of like the devil at work, because if you tear down and ruin somebody who says they're living this, like, look, we made an example of this person. I won't name any names. You guys could all think of a name, or think of an example over the years. Person X is not who they say they were. See, it's not possible to live this way. It's not worth it. Everyone who claims to be living this way is a liar, is a fake, is a cheater. So why bother? I think that when you focus on that, that's the takeaway is why bother. And I think people making mistakes should not justify, like just promoting this, throw your hands up and well, why bother? Or what good is pursuing your faith and getting a deeper relationship with God if people who are public figures who say they're doing it, well, they're really not. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, and I think it's also that, there was very recently a scandal in our sphere of, people who were preaching one message and then were maybe allegedly not living the same way. And I'm, as someone who's been in the center of controversy before, I take everything with a grain of salt, because people will make things up. They will. Like, people will just lie on the internet. Hard to believe, I know. So I'm always like, unless there's like really good proof, I take it with a grain of salt. But, when you're a public figure, there's always the allegation of, oh, you were grifting. And I think there's the possibility that these people have sincere beliefs that they just didn't measure up to as well. Like you were like, that they made mistakes, because I think the whole point of Christianity isn't that we're all perfect. It's that we are sinners who need to be saved.
Everyone makes mistakes. Like, exactly. No one is perfect. Like, and I guess you could say if you are trying to make your social media look like you are perfect, like, just expect that human nature is there's going to be people probably digging for stuff on you.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of gross the way that some people seem to delight in taking people down, especially like with the internet. It's easy to act as if this is like a TV show versus people's actual lives.
Kind of is. For so many. But it's like there's an actual family at the center of this whose like lives are never going to be the same. So I think like we could all just use a little bit more grace, including, and from the other side of it, the people who can come across as very judgmental in their messaging. Yeah.
And I think that's, for some people, that's why they bring the scandal up, is like, you didn't give so-and-so any grace, but here's what you were doing.
True.
And I understand that.
I was just talking to my like OCIA group about this yesterday. And I always use the example of like the people who protest outside Planned Parenthood. And I'm like, I know they're passionate. I'm like, I'm at a point in my life where maybe I would stand outside of Planned Parenthood now and try to but I know that is not the way to reach those women, because I was a 20-something-year-old. Like, I went to Planned Parenthood never for like, abortion services. I've never had one, but I would go for like a health checkup when I had no insurance. And it's like the girls that are there, they're pretty much like their minds are made up. Like, maybe there's some that are on the fence, but they're not going to stop and talk to somebody who's outside the place. Like, I just wish, and maybe this is part of my like calling in life now, is to like be something in the middle. Like, there's got to be a way to reach those girls that's not, because again, if you're feeling judged, you're not going to welcome that message. So I think it's so important to meet people where they are. And like, even I sometimes feel like, who am I to evangelize anything? Like, I sort of just recently wanted to deepen my relationship with God. So but I do know, I guess I do know what it's like to be kind of like in my 20s still, and where my head was at, and where a lot of like young people, they feel repelled by faith or by Christianity, because it's almost like, I think they think, oh, I have to turn into some hokey, corny, religious version of myself to like be a good Christian, when it's like, no, it's all about getting closer with God, is about like, getting in touch with a larger guidance, like a GPS for your life, to find your true self, your true calling, to make things easier so you can kind of like work smarter and not harder. It's not that you have to go to a church and speak in tongues or like get, baptized in an ocean or something. Although I do kind of want to get, I do want to get baptized in an ocean, but I've already been baptized. But it's funny, like people in my group were asking about like, because one of the guys hasn't been baptized. So we were all like, did he get a big tub? Did he get thrown into a pool?
Well, so I became born again when I was like 16. So I was baptized through immersion.
Cool.
Yeah, like, dunk and then come out of the water. But my husband's family is Catholic. And so, there are, I'm sure, Protestants who would be like, you should not have let them baptize your baby. But for me, I'm like, I don't believe in infant baptism, but I'm also like,
the Catholics are big on it.
they are.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm sure there are Protestants who are like, you shouldn't have let them do that. But I'm just kind of like, I mean, I don't see the harm in it. Like, I don't view it like I'm not Catholic, but so we got them baptized with like the Catholic way, just like a little bit.
Yeah. That's so if you just like, I guess if you die as a baby, you don't, go in limbo or get stuck somewhere.
Purgatory or something. Yeah.
Like that sounds like it sucks. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, like.
I remember being, I think, 8 or 9 years old and like dipping my head in the thing, like standing up at the church. And like,
That's confirmation, right?
I think it was baptized. I was baptized like later because the Protestants, they're not big on infant baptism. Yeah. But they give you croutons croutons and grape juice, which is so lame. I'd rather just get the real stuff. Part of what we were talking about before with like the scandals and the sort of fall of public figures. Do you feel, or like, what would you say to like a young conservative, not even necessarily a public figure, but like a younger conservative person who is trying to, meet a potential spouse and form a lasting relationship? It seems like there is so much challenging that, especially in 2026. Like, what if you were going to give advice to somebody, where to start, how to meet somebody, like how to find like-minded folks when it just seems like everything online is pushing you towards the worst version of yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I met my husband through like mutual friends, which I feel is such a relic of the past. But I think that the more in common you have with your spouse, the easier a time you will have. So I'm not saying like don't date someone of a different nationality or like a different sect of Christianity or whatever it is, but it's just the more you have in common and shared, the less kind of friction there will be later in your marriage. So try to be on the same page as much as possible. Like I browse Reddit r/waiting to wed, and it's just all of these.
I've never
women.
heard of that one.
Oh my gosh. So I'm pretty active on that subreddit, and it's just all these women like who want to get married, but their husbands don't believe in marriage, or like they're kicking down. And I'm basically just there to tell the women to leave. Yeah, exactly.
Leave. Like, don't waste time being like.
Don't try to sell not only your like you as a partner, but also the concept of marriage to someone who's not interested.
And I know where these women are at. They're like, I'm so good and cool and fun, and I'm the whole package that I should be able to convince this man to come around because I am so great. And it's like we all want to think that we're great, but it's just like
no.
You are spinning your wheels, you're wasting your time. And
that's the thing, like there are so many stories that break my heart because it's like this woman, like, he said he might be interested. We've been together for 7 years. Mm-hmm. I'm 35 now. And it's like, girl, like don't.
But then you think too, like I've invested so much time.
But that's the kind of the sunk cost fallacy. Yeah. Like, yeah, you've invested time, but is the answer to invest even more time? Especially like, if marriage matters to you, and you don't want to, have kids without getting married, anyway, so it's just like, yeah, try to be on the same page as much as possible. Like you're going to find conflict in your marriage regardless. So try to get as few of those as possible for sure.
They're probably thinking like, well, if I've spent 7 years and we get engaged this year, I could be married by next year. But if I date a new person, maybe I'm dating them a couple years before. But it's like, I've also known people that have like met and gotten engaged like within the year.
I know. If it's the right person, that can happen. And I just feel really bad for all the people, not just only women, but it usually is women who like feel like they have to struggle and drag their partner and set ultimatums. And it's like this huge thing where it's like, if it's the right person, they should want to marry you. Like you shouldn't have to try to sell yourself like a timeshare. Like they should get married.
You can pick your weekend.
Yeah.
You can swap with your friends. You can you can trade off. Where would you tell, I guess, young conservative people, like, where is the best place to try to meet somebody?
Well, I think like church is a great place. Like a lot of churches do have young singles groups, which I think is nice. And I think if you're a student, meeting someone in your class is also like a good way to get to know each other, because I feel like we've kind of lost the art of courting a little bit with like all the apps and stuff. Whereas like, you know, I met someone through friends, and then we just kind of like, we were friends for a little bit. We got to know each other, and then we started dating. And once we started dating, we had already known each other for a bit. It was kind of like, all right, you know, like we kind of got serious fast because we knew each other. And I think when you don't have that warm up period, you can be really critical of someone because you don't know them. You just view them as stats.
Yes,
Which I think is so damaging.
Yeah, you need to spend time in that friendship zone or friendly zone, because then you're not as critical right away.
Yeah. And I like it really drives me crazy because I'll see people like, this was his opening line, like, no, I don't like him. Whereas like you could totally imagine this guy is a great guy, good person, or this woman, you know, it goes both ways, but they said something that slightly rubbed someone the wrong way over text, and now that's done. Whereas if you were in a mutual friend group or in a class together or something, you would have the time to warm up to each other and get to know each other beyond like, this is my age, this is my job, this is my income, this was my opening line. Yeah, height.
We see so much of this on social media, but like it'll be viral videos or TikToks or Instagrams. It'll be like videos or screenshots or photos of like women. Maybe this is just my algorithm, but like women so harshly judging a man on their first date or first couple interactions or what they did or didn't pay for. And I hate that it's so trendy now. And I'm like, what's the psychology behind that? Where does that come from? It's ultimately like, I think it's a fear. It's like, I think
Settling maybe.
And I think feminism has directly caused this. It's like, it's a fear of also not only settling, but like, truly making yourself vulnerable. And I think like embracing submission in the positive, like Christian way that it's meant to be, which is like, like be comfortable enough in your own skin to like let someone else lead. And I think like women have a fear of like letting go of control, because feminism has like just taught that like, no, you need to be the girl boss. You need to like make enough money to provide for yourself. You need to be everything, because if, you know, you can't trust a man, you can't trust another person to like hold you through these, you know, be your partner in life. And it's just, I see the damage that mentality caused me in like my 20s basically. And I'm so grateful that I snapped out of it when I did and met my husband when I did. And he kind of helped me snap out of it. But I look at these posts that go viral and I'm like, it ultimately, like all this toxic feminism, I think it boils down to fear.
Yeah. Did you see that viral post about this woman sharing her, I think like Tinder or Hinge or whatever stats? She did like 40 first dates.
Oh no.
Yeah. She did like over the year, like 40 first dates. And I think she only did like 3 third dates or something. And I think she's basically probably thinking like, oh, well, there's so many different choices that I can be really, really picky. But if you've gone on 40 first dates and only like a handful of second or third dates, that's a you problem at that point. Like that's something, you're doing something wrong.
You're either picking all wrong.
Yeah.
Or you're just too, I don't know if it's afraid to go on a second date, but maybe you're judging them all too harshly.
Yeah, judging them too harshly, or you're picking, like you said, you're picking wrong guys who aren't compatible. Like something's wrong. Like clearly this is not working for you, and it's kind of sad, honestly.
It is sad because then you get burnt out on dating as a whole. And I'm just also grateful that I did not have to be like really doing online dating too much. Like I met my husband like the old fashioned way, in person.
Yeah.
And through comedy. And there was like a long period of like, oh yeah, I know who he is. Like we're friendly. And it's good. You just have that time to sort of like get to know somebody before there's this expectation of judgment right away. Let me see. Did we miss any super chats? I want to make sure we didn't, Matt, miss any Do we do that one from Andrew Cannon? Thank you, Andrew Cannon. I don't see how anyone that does movie reviews with her father can be seen as inauthentic.
Well, tell that to YouTube. They deleted that channel. Oh, but we do have a new project doing food shorts.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we have one video out. If you guys want to follow at the Chen's Eat on Instagram, we're going to start doing like food things together.
You should, I don't know if you ever have like an opening for like a show or a project. You see the Seinfeld episode where there's this woman named Donna Chen, and then everyone like meets her, but she's like white, and everyone's disappointed. Like, you're Donna Chen. I don't know. I don't know why I think that's funny.
That's like my mom.
Yeah.
The white woman married to an Asian man. Like, she used to get that all the time in Asia when she would like use my dad's last name, but she's like a white woman. But my mom also speaks Chinese.
Wow.
So yeah, she had like kind of yellow fever. Like, she studied Chinese in university before she moved to like Asia with my dad. And so
before she met your dad or meeting him?
Before she met my dad.
Wow.
So like this like predated my dad. She was just like one of those people who's like, I love this culture that I wasn't raised in, but I just like, I'm really interested in it. So she like learned Chinese, married a Chinese guy, moved over there, lived there for like 20 years. But she was like she is like internally become Chinese. But yeah, people would be like they'd see her name Chinese and they'd speak Chinese with her over the phone. And then like they go to meet her in person. This was in the 90s before everyone has like a profile photo online. And they'd be like, why are you a blonde woman? Like, what's happening?
Well, they had that retard filter. Maybe they have like a Chinese filter that she could like put on herself. I'm sure it exists. It exists. Okay, thank you, Maddie. Let me see if we scroll up, if there's anything else we missed. Josiah M. Thank you for the $9.99. Oh, Josiah. It's just that there's an X instead of an O.
Because he's like a trendy Zoomer. That's a thing that they do.
That's what Zoomers do. They take out vowels. Let's go. Love to see LC back on the scene. What's up, Josiah? Aaron James, what are Lauren's thoughts on China's social credit score? Oh, this is a great question.
That's a good question.
I hope Americans will realize the USA has a social credit score. It's just called public records.
Okay, so two parts to that. So number one, the China's social credit score, how it's reported on in the media, does not exist. Like, there is no central credit score in China.
Really?
So that's just not true. And I say that as someone who's like been there, who has family who live in China. That's not a thing. What they have basically is that there are different apps that can like debank you like you can in the US. And certain like cities might have things where if you have like public like charges against you, they might say that you're not eligible to take public transit and stuff like that. But there's no centralized like, oh, you talked bad about someone online, therefore your central credit score will go down and now you're not eligible for like that.
Like you were at an Asian January 6th and now you can't buy gas for your car.
No, that doesn't exist. And that's kind of how I've heard it reported.
I guess that would be called January 6th.
Yes. But yeah, so that doesn't exist, but it's like, I think it's kind of similar to the States where it's like, if you've been causing problems publicly, then individual apps or companies might be like, we don't want you, which is like, I've been debanked by 4 different financial institutions.
Oh my god!
Because of the investigation into us and like, no charges or anything.
How many more banks are there? I mean,
not enough, honestly. But like even my mom and like I have relatives and friends who were debanked as well for a connection to me. I feel like the people who are out to get us sent a list of like our associates to these different banks because a whole bunch of people were debanked as a result of this, which was really unfair. But I mean, the U.S. in a sense has something similar where it's like, look at everything Nick Fuentes has gone through. He's not a criminal, but there's a lot of things he can't do because of his social credit score. And I don't think that's fair or normal. Like I don't hear about murderers being debanked or actual criminals being debanked.
They get like it's released right away, and it seems like judges are favorable.
But it's like people like Laura Loomer are debanked. Wow. People like Alex Jones are debanked. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Illegal immigrants can have bank accounts, but not Laura Loomer.
Right. That's really absurd. And
Very strange.
That's interesting. about that the Chinese system is actually not as bad as it seems, basically. Matthew Hammond, will you take Papa Chen to In-N-Out?
I think there is an In-N-Out that opened up around Nashville or something, because I think I heard that they moved there. I think it's open. I should, though. That would be like a fun video, because I don't think he's had In-N-Out.
Junior says, Lauren, why are blacks taking Asians' historical achievements?
Oh,
What
yeah.
do
Have
you
you
mean
seen this? So on, like, you know those AI photos of like black samurais?
Oh,
or like
yes.
there was that AI photo of like black people in China that's clearly AI. Like, I don't know how people, to me AI is obvious, but I guess there's a portion of the population who can't tell. But yeah, it was just like this obviously fake image. It was like, you know, black family in the 1900s in China. It's like, that's not real. There's like, even today there's like 4 people in China, like let alone 1900s.
Wow. I feel like Asians are largely like unbothered by, I don't want to say black people, but like the sort of social justice-y, like I feel like they don't get fired up about it like the way that white people do. Like I feel like white people are so much like we're prone to being like taken advantage of and having our empathy used against us.
Not Asians. Like
Asians don't.
Well, it's weird because I tweeted about this, but westernized Asians are some of the wokest people you'll ever see. And it's because they, like, Asian immigrants tend to move to places like LA, San Francisco, New York, where they're super woke. And so their kids end up being super woke. But Asians in Asia are the most based people you will ever.
Based and racist.
Oh,
it's fun.
100%. I mean, it's like everyone like loves Japan because they're anti-immigrant, and then it's like if there weren't so much anti-Chinese stuff online, it's like, you know, oh, it's cool when Japan bans Muslims, but everyone gets mad when the Chinese put them in camps. So it's like yeah, no, they're some of the most like anti-immigrant people you could imagine. Super racist. Actually, like when I was in Asia this summer, my timeline was kind of like Asian Twitter. And it's funny because my husband...
Ooh, I want to know about Asian Twitter.
It's so racist. It's so toxic.
Maybe I'm on it.
My husband was like, they're so mean to each other. I can't do it. And this is someone who was like in American media politics, but even he was like, this is too toxic. They are too divisive. I can't do it. There are like physiognomy maps that go viral every few months. Like it's pretty nasty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Asian infighting. Yeah, that's it. That's Asian on Asian hate.
Oh, well, yeah. Like the idea of like pan-Asian solidarity that does not exist in Asia.
Wow.
Like, it does not exist in Asia.
They're just ranking each other.
Oh, they literally rank each other.
Right. Aren't Koreans like crazy superficial? I mean, haven't they cornered the market on like plastic surgery?
Yeah. Like, you know, they're like I guess like the Koreans are like everyone makes fun of them for being like superficial. The Japanese,
loving karaoke.
Yeah, everyone makes fun of them or being just like weird and quiet and uptight. And you know, China, it's like the CCP meme and things like that. They're kind of like viewed as like the backwater East Asians because there's so many Chinese and they're like developing so rapidly. So like a lot of China is still super rural. And yeah, it was kind of fun to like dip my toes back into like Asian politics. I feel like I almost did like a factory reset being like back in China. I'm like, yeah, the Japanese. Like, yeah, let's talk about this more.
You're like, what's happening to me?
I'm going to take up this intergenerational blood feud again now that I'm back.
I'm dropping my kids off to work at a sweatshop.
Yeah. Let's embrace our culture.
Josiah said, Lauren, do you remember when Sneeko acted like he was paying for someone's cancer treatment to riz you and almost started crying?
Oh, yeah. So do you know Sneeko?
Oh, yes. I know Mr. Sneaker.
Yeah. So he's like, we were on stream and one of his fans were like, Sneeko, like, thanks for like paying for, and I believed him just because I'm like,
right, because like, he probably has a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's like, why would he lie about that?
Oh,
but, yeah.
God. That's funny. Re-examination show. Lauren, did you see my debate with Andrew on Modern Day Debate where Andrew Wilson admits that non-Christians should get married? You got vindicated.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that. But like, so for backstory, Andrew Wilson, I forget how it came up, but we ended up doing this like whole segment on marriage. And basically his position, I don't want to misrepresent it because it was a hot minute ago at this point, but it was like whether non-Christians can get married, like what is marriage? And he ended up swaying my mind about like, oh, is it still marriage if God isn't consecrating it? And, you know, after that, a lot of people were saying like, no, he's wrong. Like marriage is, what did they call it? A natural grace that like everyone can do. And I see both. I mean, basically my takeaway now, the way I view it now is that this was kind of, I think, in relation to, should we be trying to convince red pill guys that marriage is good? I still don't think that, you know, the approach should be to try to convince red pill guys that marriage is good. Because I think like if you're a red pill guy, I think it'd be better for you to become a Christian than it is to just get married. Like if I'm like, if I were like, let's try to
fix the foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think everyone can do a marriage. I don't think it's like something that, so
right. You don't want someone begrudgingly getting married. It's like, no, you should want to get married. And again, like the problem probably underlying the red pill movement is like lack of faith and lack of,
exactly. So I think he was still like, at the end, he was still right in that the approach for red pill guys should not be, here's why marriage is good and you should get married. So roundabout to your point, but no, I haven't seen that clip. I'd be interested in it though.
And like this world, this life that red pill guys sort of preach that's better for them than marriage, than dealing with women. It's like only the tippy top earners can afford to have a maid, a chef, hook up with whoever, whenever, pay for whatever. But the vast majority of guys, it's like you need someone to pick up your socks. You need somebody to scramble an egg for you. You need somebody to like clean your toilet. You know what I mean? Because like you're going to be less inclined to do that.
And I don't know, like when I was young, I always wanted to get married, but it wasn't even like I'm just like pro marriage. I just like, I wanted a family. And so like marriage was like always kind of part of that. So it makes me sad when people say they don't want to get married. And I'm not of the opinion that I'm going to try to like change their minds, but it makes me sad because it's like, well, what do you not have a family?
They're not thinking, they're not forward thinking. They're locked in on the last woman who broke their heart. And they're using that as a justification to like not, again, similar to the women that don't want to open themselves up to be vulnerable, to let somebody lead. I think a man they'll shut themselves down because like they don't want to let themselves be vulnerable enough to like try again, risk getting heartbroken again. So, men and women both have a lot on the line. Okay, thank you, Matt. Did we have any? I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else's questions. Oh, thank you, K-Max. What did Lauren think of the whole Ashley St. Clair fiasco? How can your whole ideology do a 180 turn off a bad baby daddy? Ideology should trump a bad relationship. Well, I don't even think he's asking you. So what did you answer?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Ashley St. Clair was never conservative, and she admitted that she was never conservative. So I think people who are like, what, this is shocking. It's like, not if you were paying attention. She like, she came up many times that like said she wasn't conservative. She was never, she had some takes that were like pro-Trump. But I think like if you were shocked when she kind of came out against the right wing, I don't think you were paying attention.
It might seem like a 180 because she was kind of like a scene stir. She was at the TPUSA event. Like I remember her there that year. I met you in 23. She had like lime green boots on, this lime green outfit. And I was like, wow, like I just brought one pair of shoes like an idiot. So again, it was like, she probably just saw it. And I was like kind of friendly, acquaintancey, hanging outy with her at times. I invited her to my baby shower.
Oh, nice.
She didn't come. I just think like she saw the scene and was like, ooh, and then probably like, wow, I can Elon Musk, that's the top of the food chain. So that's gotta be good, But yeah, I think people should be more discerning. And again, it's easy to be like, wow, I agree with her. She's pretty. You know?
And I think like, if you enjoyed Ashley's takes and you just thought, because she was kind of funny too on Twitter.
She was funny.
There's nothing wrong with following her and inviting to her to your events or like whatever. But I just like the idea that she became known as like the right-wing influencer, the conservative influencer, that I think was like, okay, there you lack discernment.
It's because she went very viral when she wrote this children's book, which I own, which I bought it for the bean. The birds can't be elephants, or elephants can't be birds.
Elephants can't be birds. I still like that book. Like, it was one of my daughter's favorite. Like, you know, we do all the voices. Like, it's still a fun book, but it's like, yeah, like, just because she at the time didn't think that men could become women, that doesn't mean that she was conservative.
And you know what? She really rode that wave because that was such a hot issue a few years ago. And if you were passionate against that and rallied against that, then everyone's like, oh yeah, she's one of us. She's like, I'm on board with it. So
yeah, I think that's an issue. Like, it's not even an Ashley St. Clair problem. Like, that's an issue on the audience, on the rest of the right wing. That's yeah. It's definitely it definitely was disappointing though, and shocking, and just like, what did you think? Like, I don't know. What did you think was going to happen? Like, you went into this agreement soberly, knowing what the deal was. And well, can I ask? I think she probably thought that Elon Musk would choose her over all the other baby mamas.
Yes,
I'm guessing that's what
she thought. She could be the #1 baby mama. She thought she could be arm candy. She thought she could like out Grimes. I don't know.
But it's like, do you know the Siobhan woman
she's #1 now?
She's #1
because
and
she's the lowest profile.
Yeah, and they also seem like both kind of, I don't want to say autistic,
but autistic.
Yeah,
Ashley lacked autism. That is why ultimately she failed to become baby mama #1.
I don't think she got Elon like Siobhan gets him. Yeah, and I'm happy for them. Like, they seem like they really click. Like, I saw her in an interview speak about, like, you know, I like don't really want to get married, and I wanted a baby, and he offered his genes, and I thought, wow, he does have great genes, and it's like, you guys seem perfect, but like, you know, just for them,
they're a living Sydney Sweeney ad. Yeah. Had Elon Musk not been autistic, maybe Ashley could have gotten in there.
But like, she didn't get him like Siobhan gets him.
No.
Yeah.
I hope, but gosh, I wonder if her contract forbids her from even dating a regular guy and like trying, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, she's still raising Elon's kid, and there's probably a lot of stipulations on, like, because if I'm Elon, I don't want some random
around my kid.
Yeah. Especially when you look at the stats of like child abuse.
Males in the house. Yeah.
Anyway, she'll be fine. Ashley will land on her feet, I'm sure, like a cat. Jeff Yeager. Lauren, are you willing to talk about conservatives who threw you under the bus? I was disappointed when the Blaze so immediately let you go. Was this about the Tenet stuff?
Yeah. I mean, like, basically, since I feel like I was kind of vindicated, you know, we were never charged. Nothing ever came of it. You know, no one who threw us under the bus has apologized. None of the outlets who reported on us so harshly and falsely in a lot of cases have issued retractions or apologies.
Who threw you under the bus? The Blaze? Who else?
I mean, TPUSA let us go like right away. There was no attempt to like, what's going on from your perspective?
Damn.
Like, there was none of that. There was just like, bye.
Wow, that sucks. And I'm shocked even since, like, even though some time has passed and you've clarified some things,
and there's like, again, you know, there's been like, the case is closed, investigation's over, nothing's come of it. There's really been no one who was going after us who has said, you know what, I was wrong. Like, I should have waited, or like, this was clearly political and I didn't see, like, no one has said anything like that.
Because I remember, and I don't know if you want to like briefly explain what happened for people who haven't heard about it or are confused, because I just remember, like, I apologized to you upstairs. I'm like, Lauren, you were like offline for a year and I like barely tried to reach out. And I was a bad friend.
You did try to reach out, and that's like not on you to have to, you know, when we're under the full weight of the FBI and DOJ to like,
so scary. Like, you had the FBI friggin' raid your house. But anyway, if you want to like,
sure. I mean, I do kind of have to go in a little bit, but like, really briefly, like, you know, our company was under investigation because two people who worked in conjunction with us, they were indicted by the DOJ. And the DOJ, to be clear, under Biden, they never actually expected to bring these people to court because they weren't in the country. So the fact that they unsealed an indictment without them in custody basically shows that it was a press release. Like, they knew that the indictment that they were putting out, they would never have to prove any of that in court because it would never go to court. So usually indictments are like 4 to 5 pages. This indictment or basically press release was like 30 some pages.
Wow.
And a lot of stuff in there, like I was reading this, like, this is bullshit. I'm sorry, but it's like, this is clearly not true. It's like, well, they're never going to have to prove any. They can just say whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's like we were targeted, and, you know, as a result of that, like, we were debanked. My YouTube channel was deleted. Again, like, we were never charged with anything.
Wow.
Us or our company, like, never anything against us. Like, we never had to go to court for anything. Which a lot of people have falsely reported. Like, I've seen crazy stuff like, oh yeah, they had charges, but, like, you know, all of these that never happened. I've seen people say, like, my visa was revoked, because I was like, no, like, my work visa expired because I wasn't working, but it was never revoked, because that's also a legal process.
Yeah, because that's actually in Grok. Like I was because I'm just testing with Grok. I'm like, what does Grok know? What does Grok say about me? What does Grok say about my friends? And I'm like, I even wrote it down, like, yeah, it said your visa was revoked. I'm like,
not
I don't
true.
think that's true.
Yeah, that's not true. Revoking a visa is like a whole legal process, and that never happened to us. It expired, and because I wasn't working, because we had to step away because we couldn't say anything legally, I couldn't, like, renew it, but it wasn't revoked, because even that would have been more of a judicial punishment than we ever got. We were never, like, we never had any actual, you know, us going to court or anything like that.
Wow.
Which a lot of people didn't seem to understand.
And this is all happening while you're pregnant.
Yeah, it's pregnant. That's pretty crazy.
That's not stressful enough. Like, the freaking FBI raid. I don't know. I'm just glad that it seems like all that stuff's kind of behind you, and you're rebuilding.
Yeah. Or actually, we still have legal bills that we're trying to pay. So if anyone felt the urge to contribute, that would be much appreciated. But also on our Give, Send, Go, like, we kind of explained everything that happened as a result of this investigation. But it's givesendgo.com/Lauren Chen. I'm really bad at plugging it.
No, good. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think somebody in the chat was asking about how and where they could contribute to that. Kentucky Tim, we might have time for one more chat. Kentucky Tim, In and Out, no, In and Out until 15 miles of Nashville, but 2 Jack in the Boxes and 2 Shake Shacks downtown. Even worse, closest Buc-ee's is an hour away from Bowling Green. Sad face.
I love Buc-ee's.
At least you have a Buc-ee's an hour away. I'm in New York. I have to, like, take a plane to go to a Buc-ee's.
And they have a Shake Shack at the airport, so that's usually where I go for a Shake Shack. But it's so expensive now. Yeah.
It really is, but it's so good. Oh my gosh. I know Lauren's got to catch a flight. We're so happy you could come here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Any final thoughts, final, like, misconceptions you want to clear up?
I mean, there's, like, I could trauma dump for like an hour, but yeah, like, one of the misconceptions that I also saw was that, like, they reported, like, our company's budget for the entire year was being reported as our personal salaries, which is not the case. So, like, yeah, like, our production budget for, like, all of the different shows, all of the different editors, like, talent fees, plus, like, our employees, plus travel expense, like, all of that was being reported as, like, this is our money.
Oh, wow.
Which is not the case. And also, like, the money that was seized was not millions of dollars, because we never had millions of dollars, but it was like, it included the money that we invested from our Blaze and TPUSA contracts into the company. So, like, our money.
They took your money.
Yeah, they took our money. That was, like, you know, money that we had from the Blaze, TPUSA, where they can tell, like, this is clearly not foreign money, but it was going into our company account, like, from our own investment. And they seized all of that. And even though there were, like, never any charges against us or the company, they still have not given it back. So
that's insane.
Yeah.
On, like, a smaller scale, like, my friend Cecil was telling me about, like, because they took his YouTube channel. He's like, yeah, I made $10,000 that month, and they just took it away, and they never paid me for it. That's so wild and so crazy. And people should, because I'm sure there are people in the chat who are wondering how they can help you out. So check out Lauren's Give, Send, Go. And where else can they follow you?
So I'm on X. You can follow me at the Lauren Chen, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at that same username.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren. This was
for
fun.
having me.
Thank you, chat, for coming and watching and asking questions. And I hope we were able to clear a few things up. And who's next on the show? Let's see. It's Monday. Oh, join us on Wednesday. We will have Bill Schultz live in studio, my buddy from Compound Media. So we'll see everybody back here then. Bye.
Bye.